In today's fast-paced global landscape where geopolitical tensions and economic upheavals dominate headlines, one cannot ignore the multifaceted narratives unfolding across continents. The intricate web of international relations is more tangled than ever, with key players strategically maneuvering for advantage while others attempt to mediate and influence outcomes. Against this backdrop, we delve into the complex scenarios shaping our world today. The ongoing conflict remains a pressing issue, with the specter of war casting a long shadow over international diplomacy. Despite indications that former U.S. President Donald Trump might desire an end to the hostilities, questions linger about whether his close allies and advisors would support such a move. Trump's tenure was marked by a distinctive approach to foreign policy, often characterized by unpredictable decisions and a penchant for dramatic gestures. However, the reality of reversing course in the current geopolitical climate is fraught with challenges. The consequences of such a decision are profound, raising concerns about who would be responsible for addressing the aftermath of any withdrawal or de-escalation. The situation on the ground remains dire, with missile strikes and rising domestic prices contributing to a palpable sense of anxiety among the global populace. In this turbulent environment, Pakistan and China have put forward a proposal that they claim could serve as a plan for mediation. However, the specifics of this plan remain elusive, leading some observers to question its viability. Pakistan, historically a pivotal player in South Asian geopolitics, is seeking to assert its relevance on the global stage. Yet the task of simultaneously engaging China and the United States, two major powers with often divergent interests, is a formidable challenge. China, for its part, continues to assert its influence across the region, leveraging its economic and military clout to shape outcomes favorable to its strategic interests. India, meanwhile, appears to be navigating these global shocks with relative insulation. The country's economic strategies and diplomatic postures have so far shielded it from some of the immediate impacts of global instability. However, the long-term sustainability of this insulation remains a subject of debate. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that India, like other nations, is not immune to the ripple effects of international turmoil. For the average citizen, the cost of inaction or delayed response to these challenges could manifest in various ways, from economic pressures to potential security concerns. The Gulf countries find themselves in a particularly precarious position, caught between the demands of maintaining regional stability and the pressures exerted by global powers. Their strategic importance, largely derived from vast oil reserves, gives them a degree of leverage in international affairs. However, this leverage is not absolute. The possibility of influencing the U.S. to maintain its military engagements is uncertain, leaving these nations to consider alternative strategies for safeguarding their interests in an increasingly volatile world. Turning to specific regional developments, tensions in the South China Sea have once again flared, this time between China and the Philippines. The Philippine government's decision to rename certain disputed islands, territory claimed by China, has been met with sharp criticism from Beijing. The South China Sea, a critical maritime corridor with significant oil and gas reserves, is a long-standing flashpoint in Asia. China's expansive claims over the area have led to frequent disputes with neighboring countries, each asserting their own territorial rights. These confrontations underscore the broader geopolitical struggle for control and influence over vital resources and strategic sea lanes. In a separate but equally significant matter, Pakistan has initiated talks with Afghanistan, facilitated by China. This development comes amid ongoing conflict between the two countries, marked by cross-border attacks. The meetings underscore the complex interplay of regional politics, with China positioning itself as a mediator in South Asian affairs. Pakistan's diplomatic outreach to China highlights the strategic partnership between the two countries, often referred to as an all-weather alliance, and their shared interest in promoting regional stability. Meanwhile, the conflict in Ukraine continues unabated, with recent Russian drone attacks resulting in casualties and infrastructure damage. These attacks follow Russia's rejection of a proposed ceasefire by Ukraine, indicating a continued escalation of hostilities. The war in Ukraine has drawn international condemnation and has significant implications for European security and global geopolitics. Russia's actions have led to increased tensions with Western nations, reinforcing divisions and complicating diplomatic efforts for peace. In the realm of technology, a notable incident involved Anthropic, a company developing AI-powered tools. A portion of the company's internal source code for its coding assistant Claude was inadvertently released, reportedly due to human error. While the leak code did not contain sensitive data, such incidents highlight the vulnerabilities and challenges faced by tech companies in safeguarding proprietary information. The rapid advancement of AI technologies also raises questions about security, ethics, and the impact on various sectors. Finally, in the world of sports, Italy's national football scene is facing scrutiny following the team's failure to qualify for a third consecutive World Cup. The Italian sports minister has called for the resignation of the head of the country's football federation, a move indicative of the dissatisfaction and pressure facing sports administrators. Despite these challenges, the federation chief has thus far resisted calls to step down, illustrating the complexities of leadership and accountability in the sports industry. These stories, each with their unique implications and challenges, paint a vivid picture of a world in flux. As nations grapple with internal and external pressures, the quest for stability, security, and prosperity remains a constant pursuit. In the coming months, the decisions made by leaders and policymakers will shape the trajectory of these unfolding narratives, with consequences that will resonate far beyond their immediate context. In today's complex global landscape, marked by geopolitical tensions and economic uncertainties, the narratives unfolding across continents are both intricate and consequential. As nations grapple with multifaceted challenges, the international community finds itself embroiled in a web of strategic maneuvering, mediation efforts, and shifting alliances. The ongoing conflict, which continues to cast a long shadow over international diplomacy, remains a pressing issue. Despite indications that Donald Trump, the former U.S. president, might have desired an end to hostilities during his tenure, questions linger about the support from his close allies and advisors for such a move. Trump's approach to foreign policy was often characterized by unpredictability and dramatic gestures, making any potential reversal of course in the current geopolitical climate particularly challenging. The consequences of such decisions are profound, raising concerns about who would bear the responsibility for addressing the aftermath of any withdrawal or de-escalation efforts. On the ground, the situation remains dire, with missile strikes and rising domestic prices contributing to a palpable sense of anxiety among the global populace. Amidst this turmoil, Pakistan and China have proposed a mediation plan, though the specifics of their proposal remain opaque. Pakistan, a historically pivotal player in South Asian geopolitics, seeks to assert its relevance on the global stage. However, the task of simultaneously engaging China and the United States, two major powers with often divergent interests, presents a formidable challenge. China, for its part, continues to assert its influence across the region, leveraging its economic and military clout to shape outcomes favorable to its strategic interests. While Pakistan and China attempt to broker a solution, the viability of their plan remains uncertain. Observers have questioned whether their efforts can yield meaningful results, given the complexities of the situation and the need to balance the interests of multiple stakeholders. The global community watches closely, aware that the outcome of these diplomatic maneuvers could have far-reaching implications for international relations and stability. In contrast, India appears relatively insulated from the immediate shocks of the conflict, maintaining a degree of economic and political stability. However, the question remains, for how long can India remain unaffected by the broader global dynamics? The potential costs of maintaining this insulation are significant, as the interconnected nature of the global economy means that no nation is entirely immune to the ripple effects of geopolitical upheavals. Meanwhile, the Gulf countries find themselves in a precarious position, caught between opposing forces and facing a waking nightmare of choices. With limited leverage to influence decisions by larger powers, these nations must navigate a complex landscape, balancing their interests with the demands of the global community. The question arises, do they have enough leverage to push for continued engagement in the conflict, or must they seek alternative paths to ensure their security and prosperity? Amid these developments, other international tensions continue to simmer. China has accused the Philippines of breaking international law following Manila's decision to rename disputed islands in the South China Sea. The strategic importance of these islands, which sit atop vast oil and gas reserves, adds another layer of complexity to regional geopolitics. Beijing's claim to nearly the entirety of the South China Sea remains a contentious issue, with implications for regional stability and international law. In Afghanistan, Pakistan is reportedly holding talks with the Afghan government in China, seeking to address months of conflict sparked by cross-border attacks. This meeting follows a visit by Pakistan's foreign minister to Beijing, highlighting the ongoing diplomatic efforts to resolve tensions in the region. The outcome of these discussions could significantly impact the future of Afghanistan and its relations with neighboring countries. In Ukraine, swarms of Russian drone attacks have resulted in the tragic loss of at least 5 lives and the destruction of critical infrastructure, including a postal terminal. These attacks come in the wake of Moscow's rejection of a proposal by Kyiv for a temporary ceasefire over the Easter holiday. The refusal of a ceasefire underscores the ongoing hostilities and the challenges facing diplomatic efforts to secure peace in the region. Russia's decision to escalate pressure on the front lines further complicates the situation, raising concerns about the potential for broader conflict. On a different note, the tech world witnessed a significant incident as Anthropic accidentally released part of the internal source code for its AI-powered coding assistant, Claude. The company attributed the leak to human error, emphasizing that the leaked code did not contain confidential data from Claude. This incident highlights the challenges tech companies face in safeguarding sensitive information and the potential risks associated with technological advancements.
In the realm of sports, Italy's sports minister has called for the resignation of the head of the country's football federation following the national team's failure to qualify for a third consecutive World Cup. Despite mounting pressure, the federation chief has thus far resisted calls to step down, highlighting the ongoing challenges facing Italian football and the broader implications for the sport's governance.
As these narratives unfold, the world watches with bated breath, aware that the outcomes of these geopolitical and economic tensions will have profound implications for the future. The intricate web of international relations continues to evolve, with key players strategically maneuvering to secure their interests while others attempt to mediate and influence outcomes. In this fast-paced global landscape, the stakes are higher than ever, and the need for thoughtful strategic leadership is paramount.